Psychological archetypes of Saturn Nakshatras. Let us explore how the three Saturn-ruled Nakshatras, Pushya, Anuradha, and Uttara Bhadrapada, give rise to distinct psychological archetypes by blending Saturn's qualities of endurance, structure, responsibility, and karmic accountability with the elemental depth and emotional tone of their signs. Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Pushya in Cancer. Pushya combines Cancer's nurturing emotional waters with Saturn's sense of duty, maturity, and containment. This nakshatra is psychologically rooted in selfless caregiving, protection through structure, and emotional restraint in service to others. When Saturn or Moon is placed here, the guardian or the administrator arises. Dependable figures who offer emotional shelter and maintain order with quiet strength. With Jupiter or Mercury, the strategist or the diplomat may emerge, archetypes who serve through wise counsel, offering clarity and balance in emotionally charged environments. Pushya archetypes are psychologically anchored in devotion, emotional wisdom, and patient service. They guide others through stability, loyalty, and consistent presence. Anuradha in Scorpio. Anuradha merges Scorpio's emotional depth and relational intensity with Saturn's loyalty, discipline, and karmic gravity. This nakshatra produces archetypes who are committed, emotionally complex, and often bound to people or paths through deep bonds and soul contracts. When Saturn or Moon is here, the reformer or the guardian emerges, archetypes who carry the emotional weight of others while seeking inner transformation through devotion and responsibility. With Venus or Mars, the diplomat or the executor may arise, those who manage intensity in relationships or social roles with loyalty and focused action. Anuradha archetypes are psychologically bound by love, trust, and sacrifice. Their power lies in their ability to persist through emotional storms while honoring their commitments with unwavering depth. Uttara Bhadrapada in Pisces. Uttara Bhadrapada blends Pisces' mystical sensitivity with Saturn's detachment, spiritual duty, and long-term vision. This nakshatra creates archetypes who are karmically mature, emotionally disciplined, and drawn toward invisible forms of service. When Saturn or Jupiter is placed here, the architect or the visionary appears, builders of inner or spiritual foundations who guide others through wisdom refined over time. With Moon or Ketu, the arbitrator or the guardian may emerge, quiet protectors and spiritual anchors who offer karmic support without expectation. Uttara Bhadrapada archetypes are psychologically attuned to deep stillness, collective healing, and emotional transcendence. They work behind the veil, steadying the currents others cannot see. Saturn nakshatras give rise to archetypes that are stable, resilient, and soul-tested. Pushya nourishes with boundaries, Anuradha bonds through devotion, and Uttara Bhadrapada liberates through stillness. Their psychological strength lies in patience, loyalty, and karmic endurance, quietly shaping others through consistency, presence, and silent depth. Psychological archetypes within Pushya nakshatra. Let us examine how different planets or points within Pushya nakshatra could give rise to one or more of the 14 psychological archetypes, ensuring each is represented distinctly across the system. Sun in Pushya. The Sun in Pushya expresses leadership through protection, tradition, and moral guidance. These individuals lead from a place of duty and emotional maturity. This generates the strategist who plans with foresight and structures their influence through disciplined service. Leadership is not flamboyant, but reliable, built on long-term vision and a deep sense of internal responsibility. Moon in Pushya. Moon is deeply dignified here, showing emotional security, deep intuition, and a desire to nurture and sustain. This produces the guardian, who anchors emotional safety for others, and the administrator, who calmly manages family, home, or team dynamics behind the scenes. Their emotional world is structured, providing steady support where others may falter. Mars in Pushya. Mars in this nakshatra channels energy into caregiving roles, often with protective or defensive tendencies. Passion becomes focused on building or sustaining others' lives. This expresses the arbitrator, who defends fairness and acts with firm emotional boundaries, and the reformer, who uses personal will to purify systems or environments in service to a larger cause. Mercury in Pushya. Mercury here is emotionally intelligent, often reserved, but deeply insightful in communication. This supports the diplomat, who negotiates with empathy and tact, and the executor, who delivers information or tasks with consistency, clarity, and precision. Their words are chosen carefully and often offer support, healing, or grounded advice. Jupiter in Pushya. Jupiter expands Pushya's nurturing qualities into spiritual or educational roles. There is wisdom in caregiving and generosity in leadership. This creates the visionary, who nurtures others through expansive ideals and community upliftment, and the architect, who develops frameworks of protection, morality, or sustainable belief systems with long-term impact. Venus in Pushya. Venus in Pushya expresses devotion, affection, and loyalty through service and emotional depth. Love becomes an offering, not a demand. This placement embodies the creator, who channels devotion into art, music, or relational warmth, and the arbitrator, who seeks fairness and peace in emotional or romantic engagements. They combine beauty with steadiness. Saturn in Pushya. Saturn in Pushya is disciplined, restrained, and loyal, often someone who carries family, institutional, or community responsibilities. This strongly supports the administrator, who quietly maintains systems over long periods, and the strategist, who applies methodical order to emotional or social complexity. Their strength lies in reliability, especially when others need grounding. Rahu in Pushya. Rahu brings intensity to Pushya's nurturing themes, amplifying the desire to be needed, visible, or indispensable. This produces the maverick, whose caregiving style breaks traditions or norms, and the catalyst, who instigates transformation in others through unconventional emotional leadership. Their nurturing carries drama, innovation, or edge, pushing others into growth. Ketu in Pushya. Ketu detaches from external rewards while embodying deep karmic knowledge of nurturing and emotional regulation. This creates the visionary, whose calm insight and inner stability influence others effortlessly, and the arbitrator, who serves as a karmic counselor or neutral guide in emotionally complex dynamics. They may walk away from family roles while carrying spiritual responsibility for them. Psychological archetypes within Anuradha Nakshatra. Let us examine how different planets or points within Anuradha Nakshatra could give rise to one or more of the 14 psychological archetypes, ensuring each is represented distinctly across the system. Sun in Anuradha. The Sun in Anuradha expresses identity through loyalty, discipline, and devotion to collective values. These individuals often serve a higher cause or group purpose, with inner strength shaped by emotional integrity and quiet leadership. This supports the visionary, who leads from the heart with moral depth, and the strategist, who stays committed to long-term plans through perseverance, loyalty, and calm authority. Moon in this nakshatra creates deep emotional devotion, strong bonds, and vulnerability tied to love and commitment. There's a strong need for emotional purpose and trust. This gives rise to the guardian, who protects emotional sanctity in relationships and service roles, and the reformer, who channels emotional intensity into compassionate transformation, often within humanitarian or spiritual environments. Mars in Anuradha. Mars here acts with loyal passion and focused intensity. Rather than explosive action, energy is applied with patience, persistence, and emotional control. This produces the executor, who directs strength into structured systems or long-term missions, and the catalyst, who activates transformation through service, protection, or brave emotional honesty. Their strength is often quiet but unwavering. Mercury in Anuradha is precise, thoughtful, and driven by ethical communication. Words are tools of service, not manipulation. There's often a gift for emotional language or psychologically attuned dialogue. This expresses the arbitrator, who listens and speaks from wisdom and fairness, and the diplomat, who navigates social or emotional complexity through empathy, tact, and sincere communication. Jupiter here carries spiritual maturity and deep ethical alignment. Wisdom is tied to emotional loyalty, devotion to ideals, and enduring commitment to uplift others. This supports the architect, who builds systems of support, service, or teaching around collective well-being, and the visionary, who inspires through example and spiritual conviction, anchored in deep inner truth. Venus in Anuradha. Venus in Anuradha expresses love as devotion, transformation, and emotional loyalty. Relationships are intense and purposeful, often challenging but soulful. This produces the creator, who pours feeling and truth into artistic or romantic forms, and the diplomat, who values harmony, connection, and healing in emotionally complex or spiritually bonded relationships. Saturn in Anuradha. Saturn brings structure and emotional discipline to Anuradha's depth and intensity. These individuals carry responsibilities tied to emotional loyalty, karmic service, or long-standing commitments. This creates the administrator, who supports emotional or social frameworks over time, and the strategist, who endures, plans, and leads through humility, devotion, and responsibility. Rahu in Anuradha. Rahu here amplifies the hunger for emotional intimacy, spiritual growth, or intense bonds, sometimes obsessively. This gives rise to the maverick, who challenges boundaries around loyalty, love, or spiritual identity, and the catalyst, who propels others toward emotional truth or transformation through magnetic presence and intense commitment. Ketu in Anuradha. Ketu in Anuradha brings karmic depth, spiritual detachment, and intuitive mastery of emotional nuance. There is often an old soul understanding of love, service, and emotional complexity. This produces the arbitrator, who sees emotional dynamics without bias and offers resolution from a place of wisdom, and the visionary, who offers selfless service, spiritual mentorship, or subtle emotional guidance without attachment. Psychological archetypes within Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra. Let us examine how different planets or points within Uttara Bhadrapada Nakshatra could give rise to one or more of the 14 psychological archetypes, ensuring each is represented distinctly across the system. Sun in Uttara Bhadrapada. The sun in this nakshatra expresses identity through wisdom, restraint, and deep spiritual endurance. These individuals shine by serving a greater collective or karmic cause, often with a sense of quiet inner power. This supports the visionary, who leads from spiritual insight and humility, and the strategist, who uses quiet observation and long-term planning to create meaningful change over time. Moon in Uttara Bhadrapada. Moon in this nakshatra offers emotional depth, serenity, and compassion rooted in life's deeper truths. These individuals are emotionally wise and often drawn to healing or mentorship roles. This supports the guardian, who nurtures through patience, silence, and empathic presence, and the diplomat, who brings peace and support to emotionally or spiritually vulnerable individuals and environments. Mars in Uttara Bhadrapada. Mars here expresses action through inner discipline and self-restraint. There is a slow-burning, purposeful energy that supports spiritual or psychological growth through service. This produces the executor, who acts with quiet resolve and persistent strength, and the reformer, who uses willpower to repair emotional, karmic, or institutional systems without seeking attention. Mercury in Uttara Bhadrapada. Mercury in this nakshatra becomes reflective, thoughtful, and emotionally perceptive. Communication is subtle, intuitive, and often healing in nature. This supports the arbitrator, who brings clarity and compassion to complex emotional or spiritual dialogues, and the innovator, who communicates abstract or metaphysical ideas in a way that resonates with emotional truth and quiet wisdom. Jupiter in Uttara Bhadrapada. Jupiter here expresses spiritual leadership and the desire to uplift others through moral consistency and inner truth. These individuals often mentor from experience and silence, not ideology. This supports the architect, who creates enduring spiritual or educational frameworks rooted in compassion, and the visionary, who inspires through selfless teachings and karmic alignment. Venus in Uttara Bhadrapada. Venus expresses through quiet affection, devotional connection, and art rooted in emotional or mystical depth. Beauty is soft, symbolic, and often associated with spiritual refinement. This supports the creator, who channels love and emotion into meaningful expression with healing intention, and the diplomat, who relates with kindness and a sense of unconditional emotional presence. Saturn in Uttara Bhadrapada. Saturn finds comfort in this nakshatra, offering emotional depth, endurance, and responsibility without seeking recognition. These individuals often hold karmic authority or spiritual stewardship roles. This supports the administrator, who maintains integrity and duty over long karmic cycles, and the strategist, who patiently works behind the scenes to ensure lasting transformation. Rahu in Uttara Bhadrapada. Rahu here intensifies the desire to uncover hidden emotional or spiritual truths and achieve quiet influence through service or healing. This gives rise to the maverick, who challenges norms of detachment and spirituality through unconventional insight, and the catalyst, who brings deep psychological or karmic transformation to others through mysterious presence or intuitive force. Ketu in Uttara Bhadrapada. Ketu in this nakshatra expresses karmic maturity, renunciation, and intuitive wisdom that arises from lifetimes of emotional and spiritual work. These individuals are inwardly clear and naturally detached from worldly striving. This supports the arbitrator, who resolves emotional or spiritual complexity with neutrality, and the visionary, who carries luminous guidance and insight rooted in transcendent experience and compassion.